Today we're going to be tying a size 20 stimulator. The reason I'm tying it as a size 20 on film here is because this is the fly that I used on my previous video to catch a few fish. It's a Saber size 20 hopper terrestrial, 2 extra long. Pretty tough to tie, even tougher to film. Here we go. First you're going to add a little thread to your hook. Wrap it backwards. Cut away the tag end. Wrap the thread back to the top of the bend of the hook. Bring the thread back to about where you started it at, about the 3/4 of the way up. The whole thing about tying this fly is you do not want to crowd the eye of the hook. Too much bulk up here and you'll never get it finished correctly. Now I have 2 hair stackers with deer hair already in them. I'm using belly hair from a deer. Yeah, I gotta give it one more stack here. Manhandling it too much here. Yeah, it looks better. Alright. Again, measure out your deer hair. Again, you want a short, stubby tail. Place your finger right on top. Give it a good pinch. Start wrapping it backwards, rather loosely, to the top of the bend of the hook. You don't want to do it very tightly because you'll make the tail splay too much. Once you get it back to where you want it, right to the top of the bend of the hook, bring it forward. You can go a little tighter up forward now. Up to the end of the deer hair. See how does that look? Looks pretty good. Might be a tad bit long, but that's pretty good. Go ahead and cut away the extra deer hair there. Wrap it in. Now from here, we're going to add a piece of hackle. It's a black hackle feather from an old cape that I have. Right up by the neck area, got those small little tiny feathers. That's where I got this from. Wrap it back to the top of the bend of the hook where the tail starts. Now we're going to add a little bit of dubbing for our body. Dubbing I'm using is Waspy super fine dry fly dubbing. Don't need a lot, just need enough to coat the thread. Just lay the dubbing right on top of the thread and spin it on. I'm going to make a pretty tight noodle here. Really all you want to do is coat your thread. Make sure it looks nice and brown. Go ahead and start it on. Wrap it up. About the 3/4 of the way point. Do one more. Alright, you can take away this excess here. Just pull it away. Give it a wrap. Make sure it's all secure. Now you want to take your hackle pliers, put them on the end of your piece of black hackle. And from here I'm going to go ahead and spin it up with my rotary vise. Find it just a little bit easier to do it this way. About 4 or 5 turns. Give her one more. Alright, from here you want to go ahead and tie it off. Spin that thread up a little bit again. Alright, give it a couple wraps. Do one more. Cut away your excess. Let's trim away the little piece of hackle here. Alright, how's that look? Looks pretty good. Got a lot of room in there for your wing. Bring your thread back to about the beginning of your hackle here. Now you want to take some more deer hair. Again, you don't want a lot. You're not making a big caddis, you're just making a stimulator. Stimulators typically have a little thinner wing than a caddis does. When I measure it out, you want it to be about the midway of the tail. Go ahead and lay it right on top. Give it a good pinch. You want your first wrap. Oh, I moved that thread up. I don't want that thread up. I want that thread all the way back here. Let's give it a couple good wraps here. There we go, right there. Now, let's measure it off again. About the midpoint of that tail. Give it a good pinch. You want your first wrap to be around the deer hair. And now around the hook. Go ahead, tie it in. You want a couple good wraps in there. Tie it in forward. Bring it back. Should be good. Then you can cut away your excess. Oops. Try not to cut any your hackle away or anything. Just enough to get those little ends of the deer hair out. Okay. That looks pretty good. Now from here, you're going to add another piece of hackle. Hackle that I'm using is a barred ginger. Pretty nice looking piece of hackle. It's a little oversized. I like to tie it in with the dull side facing me. Give it a couple good wraps. And then bend it back over. And a couple more good wraps. grab that piece of stem there. Cut it away. Okay, looking pretty good. Now you want to add a little dubbing. Dubbing I'm using again is Superfine from Waspy, Dry-Fly dubbing. The thread is already gold. The color I'm using is yellow, a bright yellow. So all I want to do is coat the thread up a little bit. Again, you don't want too much dubbing, just enough to coat your thread. Looks good. Now I take your hackle pliers, clamp on. I'm going to give us about 3 or 4 turns here. One. Be careful because you don't want to come this far and break it. Alright, looks pretty good. I'm going to tie it off. Tie it off in front of the feather there. I got it back here. Let's go cut that away. There you go. Now take your half-hitch tool. Use a ballpoint pen if you don't have a half-hitch tool. I've only got this recently. I always used a ballpoint pen, but I noticed the one that I was using was cutting the thread, so I spent $3 on an actual tool here. Came with 4 in a pack. Can't beat that for $3, huh? Different sizes. I'm gonna go one more. The whole thing is you don't want to cover up your eye there. Nice and tight. Cut it away. See something down here I don't like. What is that? Okay. Now, see what it looks like on the other side there. Piece of hackle in the way here. Yeah, it looks better. Better for the camera. Alright, gonna take a little bit of UV finish. Add it to the end of your bodkin. Just right behind the eye. That's where a good old steady hand comes in play. Don't have the hands of a surgeon anymore, as I did as a young lad, but came up pretty good. Alright, go ahead and cure it with your light. Need some batteries on this thing. I noticed that the other day. Haven't done that yet. Got a little bit of that dubbing flying around there. Yeah, it looks pretty good though. Let's take it where I can see with the UV light. It's amazing how you can see that, huh? Before I pull it all apart here. Alright, there you go. Alright, here we have a nice little size 20 stimulator. Dry fly that I used the other day to catch a few fish. I used bigger Catskill style dry flies, size 14s or so. Fish will come up to it, refuse it, until I went to this little micro fly. They didn't refuse it anymore. The size they were looking for. Alright, hope you like this video. If you do, give me a click for a little like there and subscribe. And this is the smallest one that I can tie as a stimulator. Any smaller than that, it doesn't look like a stimulator anymore. It looks more like an elk hair caddis, or just a blob of fur. But I hope you like it. Thanks. Be safe out there.